You're listening to Edge Radio TV. The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the hosts or guests, and not the Edge Radio Network or its advertisers or affiliates.
Hey, we are Sex on the Edge on Edge Radio TV. I am Jennifer Reeves.
I'm Hendrix Scott. Today we're here to talk to you about some sex.
Yes. But before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about the last couple of weeks. You guys,
Wild.
Oh my God. We had to take a couple weeks off because of the snowpocalypse of 2021 in good old Houston, Texas, and other cities around Texas. I mean, I think most of Texas. Did you ever look at the map and see like the power outages at one point in time was like 95% Texas, and then only a spot here and there across the United States? It was crazy.
Yeah, it was maddening because I wanted to escape and go somewhere else, but to the northeast and west, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, there was nowhere to go.
We were trapped.
I know you had it a lot worse than I did. I mean, truly, like, I'll be honest, like, I had it relatively easy. I think I only lost power for like 21 hours over at my boyfriend's house, and it was, so I'm not quite as fatigued as others, but Hendrix, you had it bad.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna be like my 100% spunky self, but that's okay. We can show up and not have to be one hundo all the time.
We'll take Hendrix at her funky self.
Thanks.
Instead of spunky.
It was like 3 days, no water, no power. Yeah. But also, I didn't even get it that bad. Like, I didn't have pipes burst, and I was in an apartment. I felt bad for the people in houses, in homes.
Man, there were so many people, houses, homes, flooding, water pipes bursting, that I know are still. I have clients that are like, we can't come to therapy because we have to fix the house, and now we can't afford you right now, and everything else. And you know, right now is probably when some people might need therapy a little bit more. I think we're all a little tired of all the different crises, one after another.
I mean, I can't. I've been trying to think about it. I'm like, what was a worse time to be a therapist? Like in recent history, and I'm like 9/11. That's the only answer that I have. I'm like, this is bad. Yeah. Like, this is really bad.
Even that was, I mean, I don't want to say short-lived because I can't think of a better word, but even that, we went back to quote-unquote normal relatively quickly. We've had to deal with COVID. We've had to deal with Black Lives Matter. We've had to deal with the presidential election, and then hurricanes last year. I mean, there were a bunch of hurricanes that were hitting the U.S. and even parts of Texas. And
trying to be there for clients after like you see shootings. It's basically watching snuff films online circulating, and you have to watch that, and we have to be there for clients to help them grieve it and grieve COVID and grieve it's
and
awful.
then take care of ourselves all at the same time. Like, it is just I think everybody's exhausted.
Oh my gosh, no. Like, see, on its own, if that had happened to Houston without this, Houston can rally. It's what I friggin' love about Houston.
Right.
Like, everybody comes together,
Houston's
they rally.
Strong. Yeah, for sure.
But we don't exist in a vacuum, and I believe I said this on our social media. We do not exist in a vacuum on one singular moment. These are so many moments built up, and a lot of us just kind of broke after last week.
Yeah.
Like, snapped. I snapped like a twig.
No, I agree. I think I've seen the same thing with a lot of my friends, family, and other colleagues as well, where it's just, I think there's been inundation of posts during the snowpocalypse that was like, I'm tired of having to go through one crisis after another, and we still haven't even gotten out of COVID. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the initial lockdown. March 17th. We're that close, or March 16th.
What was it?
10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
15 days.
We're going to be on lockdown for 10 days, guys. We got this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, I know other therapists are experiencing this. I had multiple clients try to off themselves.
Oh, yeah.
In the past week. One on my birthday, I'm gonna start. I yelled at them. Not like yelled, in a therapist way.
You yelled therapeutically.
Like I yelled therapeutically. No, I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna have you sign it. I'll be like, if you off yourself, your therapist, have permission to resurrect you and make you do therapy until eternity or until I die, whichever comes first. And I'm going to make you talk about your mom, your dad, all your parents.
So
every night.
I want to know when you learned how to resurrect people. So are you a necromancer?
Me and my wily ways.
Mm-hmm.
Man, but no, I told my one on the birthday, I was like, oh, nuh-uh. No. That would have been dramatic. I think I would have quit. I mean, not like quit. I say it all the time like I'm quitting. No, I'm not. It's like, but I would have taken like a month off or 2 or 5. Like, that would have been rough. And clearly they don't know our birthdays, so they didn't know.
You can't send out an email to your clients to, hey, tomorrow's my birthday. Please don't try and kill yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But man, but on a lighter note,
I think almost most things are gonna be lighter.
Not anything's gonna be lighter than this. Welcome to our show about fun and sex.
On a lighter note.
On a lighter note.
I don't know where she's going.
I know. Where am I going?
Where
was I going? Oh, I remember. Oh, my birthday. In the dark.
Oh, yeah.
Freezing ass cold with some candles with maybe a beverage that had some alcohol in it.
Maybe.
Or like 12
honey, let's be honest. During that time, most people were pretty lit.
I mean, we had no other choice. There was nothing else to do in the dark. I mean, during the day, you could like play cards or whatever, which I did. We relearned how to play gin rummy, which I forgot how much I loved that. And in board games, Clue. Yeah. Clue is kind of difficult.
Yeah, I love Clue. I have Clue.
We took 2 grown-ass adults trying to read the directions for Clue, and we couldn't really figure it out. And then it was like this hipster Clue. They were like hipstery looking, and I thought that was strange. I don't know. Yeah.
I have the Game of Thrones version of Clue. It's double-sided board, so you can change like the location.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Cool.
I like it. I like it. Oh man, did you have clients come back being like, we didn't have sex during the snowpocalypse, like, are we okay? And I was like,
no.
What? Like,
none of my clients, like, I don't know. You and I get totally different types of clients, because you'll tell me some of the stories and I'm like, no, I don't have to deal with that. I don't know. I don't know what
that's my life,
vibe is. That you're like, yeah.
That's my life.
So no, like most people I think understood, like they were either having sex to stay warm or to pass the time, or they weren't having sex because they were too stressed out, and it was like whatever, and both were fine. All of my clients were fine either way.
No, like, well, clearly I couldn't see some. They were like, pipes burst, sorry.
Oh yeah.
No, coming back, being stressed out from not having sex because they were stressed out to begin with. It was like this whole line of stressing over being stressed, and then shooting. Oh man, I tell my clients all the time, shooting all over themselves about what they should be doing. Yeah. But it's not on like the Maslow's hierarchy of like survival or needs, whatever.
I wonder where Maslow, if he had considered it, would have put sexual needs.
So he has reproduction on like the survival mode, but not sex for pleasure. That's like at the top. Yeah. But when we're in survival mode, we're just worried about eating.
Yeah. Drinking safe water that isn't contaminated.
Yes.
Getting water from a pool. That's what a lot of apartment complexes did, so you could flush your toilet.
Yeah,
because
that's another thing. How can you get some hanky panky on if you're that dirty? Like I had some friends like 5 or 6 days not to have power and water.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, I guess if you're both dirty, but that's asking for like some UTIs.
Well, you could always do the old Egyptian way and just get some olive oil. That's how Egyptians used to wash themselves, right? And then you could have lots of fun slipping and sliding all over each other in the cold.
That sounds. I mean, I'm mortified right now.
And your sheets and your blankets sticking.
And I know my spouse would also be mortified, just like.
But it's not like back in the like medieval days, people took baths every single day either. Like they went a while.
It's true.
And they had all that extra hair to collect the bacteria with too.
Yeah.
So they were...
All right. Yeah. I think my partner has changed.
No, I'm sorry. We have a guest that's going to be coming on here shortly, and I just got the look on her face when I was talking about that. She's gagging.
Okay, good. Then it wasn't just me. I
mean, look, I didn't say I would. Like, we got very lucky, and I'll be quite honest. Like, So my boyfriend loves to be clean. And
same. That's what I was saying. I think my partner has like made me like
we had
that way.
Intercourse, and I took a shower, and he was playing on his phone. We still had everything at the time, and he was about to hop in it in about 30 minutes or so when we lost power. So he still had all my stank all over him, but I didn't have his on me. And he had to be that way for 21 hours, and it was driving him crazy. Like, he was really cranky Wednesday because he was like, he didn't get a shower and he didn't get to clean. And
something like that wouldn't bother me. My partner, for sure.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have bothered me either. But my partner, he has to take a shower every night.
But I don't. 3 days or like 5 days is a no-go for me. I don't know. I say that and then put me in an emergency situation of, and maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah.
And moving on, in all seriousness, our hearts do go out to those that were impacted, are still impacted. Many people lost their homes because of fires. Lost their lives because of fires and freezing to death. Lost their animals because they were so cold and cold in the house and everything. Like, there were people, it's just. Yeah, it is definitely sad, and our hearts go out to everybody that was and still is impacted by all of that.
Yeah, and as usual, Mattress Mac saves the day.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Houston icon.
I love Mattress Mac.
We want him to sponsor us so bad.
# Mattress Mac, come be our bitch. We'll be your bitch. Just kidding. Give me a mattress. So we're moving on to like the content of our show. And speaking of Mattress Mac, when we come back, we're actually going to be talking about asexuality today, which is something that not a lot of people understand. In fact, according to like a poll that was done, 75% of people could not accurately define asexuality.
Totally believe it.
Yeah.
Totally believe it.
Yeah, high percentage. And it affects, I think the stats are currently about 1% for both males and females, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. I personally think it's higher than 1%. I'm looking at our guest, and she's not. Everybody's nodding their head. Yeah. It's just that it's misunderstood. It's not talked about, and we will talk more about like what exactly is asexuality with our guest when we come back.
Our very open guest, who's going to give us all the dirty deets.
We're very excited to have her on here.
Yeah.
And then just to kind of think about that, like some people might be going 1%. I mean, that's not much. Although in the human population, you'd probably say it's a little over 2% with the numbers, because that's just 1% of men, 1% of women in the breakdown. But that's about 140 million people, right? I did 70 plus 70 is 70 million people.
You can do the maths. See, I used to make OG Jen do the math, so new Jen can do the math.
Anyway, that's about 140 million of the population. And again, like I said, we all think that it's probably a little bit higher. We'll talk about where we actually think that stands when we come back. When we come back, Lainey will be on with us. And so we'll see you in a few. It's going to be fun. You'll like her.
Aren't you tired of not getting what you want in bed?
Are you ready to spice things up behind those closed doors?
Woo! We're here for you every hump day at 7 p.m.
This is Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. I'm Jennifer Reeves.
And I'm Hendrik Scott, and we are professional licensed sex therapists.
So remember to watch us Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Edge Radio TV, just in time for sexy time.
Edge is about community, synergy, and empowerment.
The responsibility be on this? Should we have had a national plan, or should
that the government needs to get out of the way and let people figure it out?
What do you do for your face? So I do have a skincare line called Infinity Skincare.
And welcome back to How You Living on Edge Radio Live. So to Jennifer, I'm just saying bye, and I'm out.
Peace.
Can't say we not working, okay?
You cannot say we not working.
Say that we are.
No, they're just ready to get back out there and start sexing up other people.
Yeah.
That we weren't interested in any silver medals. If they wanted to give us the gold medal that we earned.
各位亲爱的观众，我是富卡，今天又到了我们
It's a hotel kind of vibe.
Well, I mean, I'm
We're
sure
turning
I
it
don't
down
want
to
to
say,
hear you
here's the dinner,
complaining
man.
about the cheap
Sensation cocktail. This is our first mixed cocktail. We have
Three.
very good margarita.
Folks, as always, this is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get, right? So, to the Edge Radio Network, we are going to be bringing you continuous, interesting conversations, interesting encounters, interesting experiences, education, knowledge, and a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, folks. So you don't want to miss it. So we
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Hey guys, we're back. This is Sex on the Edge with Hendrik Scott
and Jennifer Reeves.
Today we have an exciting guest. Yay! It's our first guest.
So excited. Oh,
Super
excited to be here.
My most favorite guest. This is my dear friend Lainey.
Hi, you guys.
Yay.
I'm Lainey, and I'm asexual. Well, because that's all you're going to remember about me. I'm a cosplayer. I'm a gamer. I went to graduate school with Hendrix. I've studied sex therapy, still trying to get that ball rolling. Let's see. I'm learning to speak Japanese. I'm
cool.
adopted. I got lots of cool things going on, but you're just going to remember that she's the ace chick, right?
Yes.
Please don't do that.
It's true. Lainey, you are a whole bag of beautiful. Not
yes.
just.
We will definitely be having her
as
back on the show
For
for
sure.
some of these other
Oh yeah, she has
pieces
topics for days. Yeah.
of Lainey, but for today we're mainly going to focus on asexuality.
Yeah. So first off, Lainey, what is asexuality?
Basically, I've heard people define it a lot of different ways. My personal way of describing it is no arbitrary sexual desire. In other words, I have never had that moment where I've just been sitting at home thinking I probably want to go out and I really need to get that D. I am DTF tonight. I am arbitrarily just randy. I've never experienced that. And
arbitrarily randy. I'm getting that on a shirt.
I have never
I
been.
think that classifies me to a T. No, being arbitrary.
I have never been just arbitrarily horny. And so a lot of people will say it's the absence of sexual attraction to other people. A lot of people will say it's the absence of sexual desire towards another person, not necessarily the inability to be sexually aroused. I think we're going to get into that a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just that I don't walk around ever feeling just sexually charged. And I understand what that means. And I know that other people experience that. And I think that would be awesome. But I've never just I felt confident. I felt in a very good mood, but I've never just felt sexually charged.
Do you feel like you ever feel erotic?
Erotic? Well, if I'm in a sexual situation, which does happen because I'm a gray ace, and I guess we'll talk more about that later. Yeah, big time. Eroticism is super important.
Yeah. I just thought of it just now, and I was like, but I bet you could feel erotic.
Yes. Not arbitrarily.
Yes.
But in a specific situation. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
you
it's
put
great.
asexuality into lack of desire.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Lack of arbitrary desire.
Yeah.
Right. Which so let's talk about that for just a second on the aspect, because what a lot of people will come up with is low libido or low desire, right? And so understanding the difference between what Lainey is saying when someone has low desire versus where she's saying like arbitrarily no desire, right? So how would you define like that difference between the two, if somebody's low desire versus asexual?
Well, asexuality is an orientation. Whereas low libido is probably the side effect of a medication, or it might be a symptom of a physical problem. It might be a symptom of an emotional or an emotional problem.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of people experience low libido during the snowpocalypse.
Yeah.
And then I think that there were probably people who experienced the opposite, where the libido just went off the charts during the snowpocalypse, and that's how they dealt with it. So yeah, asexuality is an orientation, whereas low libido is usually connected to either a medical or another condition.
Yeah.
And low libido is something that has not always been there. You've been a sexual person, and all of a sudden you don't want sex, and it's worrying. It's unpleasant. It bothers the person.
Yeah.
If you're asexual, you just don't care. I mean, it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I had read, was that they said the big difference is low sexual desire often causes distress. For asexuals, not being sexually attracted to someone isn't of itself distressing. It's not a problem in their lives. But I think Hendrix and I can both, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I know I've had people that have come in and initially thinking that they were low desire, low libido, and were distressed about it because their partners were telling them there's something wrong with them, or they were believing there's something wrong with them because they weren't experiencing that oh man, I'm just horny right now, right? They'd never experienced that, and they thought that was a problem. And so going through all of that and recognizing, oh honey, you're just asexual.
Yeah, I've had to bring it up, and I've had a few stop sessions because they were like, I don't know if I like that. And then I was like, no, I'm doing my job. I'm laying out all the options here. Here's some psychoeducation on what it could be.
Right.
But they really hated even saying, like, there was some like stigma against I could not be asexual.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it in terms of, because Lainey's right. Like, we think of it as a sexual orientation. It's not a diagnosis. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And so, but I know, like, I've had several clients that were queer questioning, right? Where they're coming in and they're trying to figure out, I think I like somebody of the same gender, but does that make me a bad person because of different things that they've been raised with, and trying to help them accept their orientation. And I did the same thing with asexuality, where it's kind of that same, like, just accepting yourself and getting to that place, and then it no longer typically causes distress, in that. So it's not a diagnosis, but it is.
So you said you were gray ace. What is?
Well, I was gonna piggyback on what you were saying and comment that it's like everything else, it's a spectrum,
right?
And you can move around that spectrum, and that's normal. So there is completely asexual people that just never have had any interest, no interest, and they're fine with that, and it's not a problem. People feel so sorry for people who are absolutely
the pity. I've watched you get pity looks
on the super no interest in
you're missing
sex.
out on so much. Like,
they think that there's
if only you had this orgasm.
And it has nothing to do with orgasm. Nothing at all. And then you have people who consider themselves, I believe the term is ace flux, where they can kind of hop around the spectrum. There is gray asexuals. That's how I identify, and for me the way it manifests is that I hardly ever feel sexual desire. When I do, it's a bomb. It's like, and that's how I experience it personally. A lot of other gray aces will just experience low key sexual desire. They'll experience it maybe more frequently than I do, but when they do experience it, it's just kind of low key, and that might be very disappointing to a sexual partner. So there's a lot of different ways in which a person can be gray. Some people are allosexual, allo meaning other, and so it's kind of like asexuality not otherwise specified.
Right.
They know that they're not
good old
really,
DSM.
Yeah, exactly. they're not a sexual person. They don't really relate to that spectrum. They would definitely be in the X, but they just they're allosexual.
So let's talk about that real quick.
Yep.
Like Kinsey
Yeah.
X, what is that?
Well, I believe, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this. I believe that Kinsey was the first to identify
I believe so as well.
asexuality.
1948 was the big massive
because
study.
he did the massive study, the Kinsey Continuum, and then everybody started announcing, I'm a Kinsey 1, I'm a Kinsey 6, you know. But it wasn't widely publicized. It wasn't widely known.
But it's based on heterosexual to homosexual.
Correct.
Oh, yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
You
like
go ahead and
one,
take it.
one hetero and then 6 is like homosexual.
Correct.
Totally hetero, totally homo.
Yeah.
Right. And
Everywhere in
between. Most people fall somewhere in between.
Yeah. But about 1.7% of the males that took it were what it was classified as Kinsey X, and so that was what I don't even think they had
Such
the
a
terminology
badass
back then,
name.
but is now called asexuality. So yeah, so when she says Kinsey X, that's what Lainey is talking about. Let's so you're talking about the spectrum and different terminology that comes on in there, and we hear this term. I think it's becoming really hot right now, but demisexual.
Oh yes.
Like,
I made notes.
I was in like dating websites, and I had so many of the people that I would find were like listed as one of their things, like demisexual or sapiosexual. Like that's becoming a hot terminology on when you're dating, and then and all of that stuff and elsewhere. So I think tell us a little bit more about.
And I think
some of
that's
those
wonderful
terms.
that we have so many new terms. Some people find it really frustrating. Like, oh, you kids these days. We're not kids. But you kids these days with all of these new terms and we can't keep up. No, it's useful. It's useful to have the language so that we can talk about these things, so that we can explain who we are sexually.
Yeah.
And demisexual, I've had a lot of people say, well, are you sure you're not demisexual? No, demisexuals usually don't experience genuine sexual attraction until there is a solid emotional bond present.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go over some subtypes of demisexuals. There are reciprosexuals, and those are people who don't feel the sexual attraction unless they know it's reciprocated. And so they have that emotional bond. Once they are sure that that emotional bond is reciprocated, then they can feel the full sexual attraction. And this one's my favorite. There are lithsexuals. And so those are the people that they're demisexual, and so they need that emotional bond to be established, but they don't feel that real sexual attraction unless the other person is not attractive.
Oh.
So these are the people who like to pine. They like to pine away. And these reciproromantic can be a thing. And I know we're going to talk about romantic orientations later.
Orientation, but
But let me point out that a demisexual is not a person who consciously chooses to really get to know somebody and then they will move forward with the relationship either romantically or sexually. It's not a choice. It's not a choice that they're making. The sexual attraction just does not emerge until that milestone emerges between the two people. I love talking about the energy between the two people and what is born of that versus what is coming from your brain and what is coming from your agenda. Yeah. It's about the energy between the two partners.
Interesting. So just to clarify and classify more fun terminology, would sapiosexual be something that is considered on the asexuality spectrum, or is that different then?
I think, remind me exactly what that is.
The sapiosexual
it's conversation,
intelligence.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't have to be like
wow,
IQ.
I feel smart.
It can be like you can be sapiosexual on like baseball, for example.
Okay.
So if you are really turned on by somebody who has a lot of knowledge about baseball.
Oh, so we're talking like Rob Gordon from High Fidelity. It's not what you are like, it's what you like.
Yeah.
So having
being able to have that intelligent conversation with somebody. So you're talking about the energy. That's that energy that you feel.
I don't think that would be asexual. Okay. I mean, I guess somebody under the label of demisexual you could include sapiosexual. It just depends on what label feels comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's true.
If you feel like this definitely fits. But I know exactly what. Yeah. And it's fluid.
Yeah. It's definitely fluid. Like that's something that we can definitely get into a little bit more. We have our next break coming up here in just a minute, but so before we do that, I wanted to ask you, to get started. So this says, AVEN, which is a asexual group, says that many experience forms of attraction that can be romantic, aesthetic, or sensual in nature, but do not lead to a need to act out on that attraction sexually. So can you clarify that a little bit more, what that means to you?
Oh, just the difference between sexual attraction and romantic attraction?
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more, but I want you to kind of briefly.
Okay, you can, I know David J is kind of the guy who started the Asexuality, Visibility, and Education Network. He's the guy that you think about when you think about asexuals. And when I watched the documentary, that was what tipped me off. I was like, oh, hey, I really relate to this. He is so romantic. He's adorable. He's just the most romantic guy in interpersonal relationships.
Should we try to make this happen? Should we
Oh,
call?
no.
Okay.
No. I think it's adorable.
Okay.
In a non-sexual, and see, I'm aromantic. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But there's such a difference. You can be so romantically attracted to somebody and want that intimacy, but without the sex. So what do you do? Because so many people define romantic relationships, or they differentiate a romantic relationship from a friendship, from a familial relationship, based on one factor.
Yeah.
Smashing. And so what do you do? And one suggestion is you find an alternate activity that only you two partners do together.
Really great idea.
I think that can work. But yeah, romantic attraction and sexual attraction are not the same. It's nice when they go together, but they don't always.
Nice. All right, guys, we have to take our next break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about romantic versus sexual attraction, and then we may hear a little bit of Lainey's personal dating experience story that she has.
I'm excited.
She has a couple
So
that are some really good ones. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
Edge Radio TV is holding auditions for new show hosts. Are you a subject matter expert, professional, influencer, book author, thought leader, or business owner with an educational or motivational platform? Then we want to meet you. Send a link of some of your work to edgeradio20@gmail.com and be sure to put audition in the subject line. Join the Edge Radio TV family. Edge TV, because truth still matters.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hin, and today we have been talking about asexuality with our very first special guest, Lainey.
Woohoo!
So it's been really really good so far. I think we've had some very good information and can help clarify a lot about what is asexuality, because it's often extremely misunderstood, right? So to define it a little bit more real quickly, we left off about like talking a little bit more about what's romanticism versus sexuality. So sexual orientation versus romantic orientation. And I think that even in all sexuality aspects of things, we're going to be seeing a lot more of this, like I'm bisexual, but I'm hetero-romantic, or I'm homo-romantic, and you know, and breaking it down in all these different terminologies, because they are two very different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does that mean in terms of asexuality when we're looking at asexuality versus aromantic, I think is what you called yourself.
Well, for me personally, being aromantic kind of hits me harder, and it's more important to me. I don't do well when I have to spend too much time around one person. And I think it's just because the way I conceptualize intimacy is quality, not quantity. It's the quality of the relationship. It's, you know, do I trust this person? Do I feel like this person really sees me for who I am? Can I talk to this person? Do I enjoy being around this person? And that doesn't mean that I have to be up in their business 24/7, but I think a lot of people conceptualize intimacy as you got to be together all the time. You got to watch each other poop. And I mean, you know, you got to be up in each other's business. And I'm serious that I feel like I have been on the receiving end of people who don't conceptualize intimacy the way I do. And I get overwhelmed and I just go into that hole. And I'm like, no, don't talk to me for a year. I just go.
Yeah, I think I've said it before.
I hate to admit that.
I have a noise cancellation headphone 2 hours first part of the day, the morning.
Genius.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So like, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
But that, I think that is like a good point to talk about. Like, you can still be in a romantic relationship and acknowledge that you don't want to be around them 24/7.
Yeah.
And like, that's
I've never met anybody who was okay with that, though.
I have.
I have. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I am just fine with somebody who's like, hey, I'm gonna need my space. Cool. The only thing that I ask for whenever is that you tell me.
Yeah.
You know, and that we have like right now, my boyfriend and I have a really good schedule. Like, I go over to his place on either Saturday or Sunday, depending on if we have a Saturday night date, and I leave on like Wednesday most of the time. So we have like programmed space.
Okay. I love that.
And it works very well for us. But even though like you know, there are times when I might be over there a little bit longer and he's a little bit like, okay, Jen, you know, we'll still communicate during that space. We'll still talk on the phone or text.
And does that hurt your feelings at all?
Depends on the way he delivers it. If he delivers it in a way that's like, okay, bye. Yeah. Like, go away now. Like, yes, that hurts my feelings. But if he delivers it in a way that's expressing like, hey, I need my me time. I need to rejuvenate or whatever.
Yeah, some of us have to be told that, okay, bye isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have it just, hey, maybe not. Just, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, boo. Sorry.
Yeah. Like when he and I are apart and we are talking on the phone, if he says, okay, I don't want to be on the phone anymore. Okay. I'm good with that, but it's
So Lainey, how have your relationships been?
Hell.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would imagine.
It feels like prison.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry if anybody with whom I have been in a relationship is watching this.
Yeah, I had to say that our last show because
You know, I'm still friends with. Well, I'm friends with my ex-husband, but I'm not friends with that many ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
I just don't do well, and I think a lot of it, looking back on my past, is that I did not assert my needs. So that's on me.
So first of all, how did you find out? Like, what was the big moment? Because we were not raised with these terms.
No, we
so
were
like,
not.
there's a moment, like the moment I heard my terms, I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I am. Like, what was your moment?
It was exciting. I guess it was when I watched the asexual documentary with David J. and
where can people find that?
Amazon Prime.
Remind us to link it down below.
Amazon Prime. You can watch it on Prime. I think maybe you can watch it on YouTube. It used to be on Netflix. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore.
Okay.
But I had seen it before, and I kind of glossed over it and thought that doesn't apply to me because I've had sex. And so clearly I wasn't even paying attention. I was just kind of half-ass watching it.
Yeah.
And then I watched it again and I went, wait, no, that is me.
Yeah.
That is me.
About how old were you?
38, 39. Yeah, it was far along in life. But I always knew that I had no interest in having sex. But
yeah.
here's the thing that doesn't make sense about me. I have been boy crazy since I was 3. I mean, crushes. Crush on a different boy every week. I was that kid who always wanted a boyfriend. Boyfriends all through high school.
Yeah.
I got married young.
Oh yeah, you did, like at 18,
I did,
right? Or 19?
20, but we got engaged when I was 18.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then divorced when I was 21, 22. Yeah, and that it was just as much my fault as it was his. We were just a bad fit. Great friends though, great as friends, but not great as spouses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did not. I thought, oh, I feel so. I'm already talking about it. He knows I love him. I blamed him, and I thought he was bad in bed. And I would go to my girlfriends and my gay friends. I'd be like, my husband is so bad in bed, and it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
I was asexual. I just didn't dig sex. And I found him physically attractive. I was physically attracted to him. I thought he was handsome.
Yes.
Very emotionally attracted to him.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that I was in love with him. I would use those words. I would use the L-bomb.
Yeah.
But when it came to sex, we weren't a good fit. First of all, the things that he liked to do were things that were like hard passes for me, not just like, I'm not really into that, but hard passes for me.
Was he the one you went to therapy with?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
It was him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And yeah, and I learned the term. This was in the early 2000s.
I don't know if you want to tell that story. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll wait. Should I wait?
Yeah, no, go now.
Oh,
you do you, boo.
I learned a term that is thankfully no longer in use: sexual anorexia. And I was told
some people still use it. Unfortunately,
do they?
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
Not cool.
Not a cool word.
That is not okay. You don't love yourself. You're trying to control.
So the therapist told you, and
Yeah.
your husband at the time, all of these things.
That I hated myself, that I couldn't accept love, and that I was punishing myself by being sexually anorexic.
It's wild.
And
wild.
that just was not it at all. At all.
So how did you internalize that? Like, did that stick with you for a long time? Were you like, oh, F this, like this doesn't matter?
I just went really emo, and I was like, I guess I'm...
I just went really emo. This is why I love her.
I was like, well, clearly I'm effed up. I'm the sad girl. I'm the girl who thinks she's unworthy. And so I just went all emo, and Lord, did that get me a lot of sexual attention. And that was so weird.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Come to think of it, it would, wouldn't it?
Sad girl that hates herself, which I didn't, but I had been told.
I was the nihilistic goth.
Okay.
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had been told so many times by professionals that I hated myself and that I didn't feel worthy of love, that I just became this, this girl.
That is just so.
And then
wow.
And the type of man that would be attracted to this girl is so disgusting to me. I'm sorry if you are that type of man. I'm sure there's somebody out there for you, but it ain't me. I just became a sad girl, and it took me years to realize I'm not sad at all.
Yeah.
I don't hate myself. Yeah. I'm just ace, man.
No, I never would have, because I met you, a couple years ago when you were taking the TSTI course with Hendrix. And I am one of the teachers that comes in and supervisors for that. And that is never a word that I would have ever used to describe you from day one of meeting you. Like, you are bright, you are sunshine in a little person.
I think sometimes to an annoying extent, and maybe it's because I went ahead and just embodied that sad girl persona, because that's what people I felt like that's what people wanted me to be. And so I gave that to them for a long time, and then when I realized I think I went the other direction, but I think that this is real.
So
I'm pretty sure.
So what was it like dating from until you find out at 38? Like what? Or do you have a more specific dating question?
I had some moments that were where I was like, oh, this is what it is. A few, not very many, but I had a few moments. Once I got a little bit older and started making better choices as far as the people I was spending time with and getting to know.
Yeah, then that's all the orientation.
Yeah. Then, I experienced some really good sexual attraction. Yeah.
Well, I think there was, we met up for lunch a little bit before this, and she kind of teased Hendrix and I a little bit.
Oh, okay. So there was
one of the stories.
All right, I'll tell you the story. There was a guy, I was low-key dating him. I really liked him. I found him very good looking. And we got along, but I didn't really want to have sex, and I didn't really realize it was because I was asexual. It was just, I didn't want to. I love making out. Let me put that out there. I love making out, and that was why it took me so long to figure out that I was asexual, because making out rocks.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to. First base is cool. I'm cool on first base most of the time. But this guy said, I don't want to have sex. Can we just make out? He's like, oh, but I've got this trick. I'll change your mind. And I
think I want to plug my ears.
I know. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of curious, and maybe he's gonna rock my world. At this point,
I really appreciate this curiosity, though. I like this.
I was curious. Stay curious. It's very important. I was like, okay, let's see what you got. And so I said, okay, fine, show me. Go ahead, do it to me. Whatever you're gonna do to me, go ahead. I'm gonna be totally open-minded.
What is it?
He whipped his dick out.
Yeah.
That was the trick.
That was it? Oh my god!
That's not a trick. I've got a dick. It rhymes with trick.
It was really big. It was really big. It was really big. I will give him that.
Look, the minute you see my big ass cock, you're gonna run and ride me, baby.
But that was it. And so I'm waiting.
Maybe, and when he does his genital sneeze, it's gonna be like
okay, but that all of a sudden, like, I'm picturing in my head this dude doing helicopter dick.
Exactly.
I've seen that lots of times. He wasn't doing the helicopter. He was just holding it, and I was waiting for him to like pounce on me or do something. And then I looked at his face, and he was like, "And what's the trick?" He's like, "See this, see that," and I was like, "That's not going anywhere near me." Oh my gosh!
I should put vodka in this cup.
Sorry, you knew what you were getting into asking me.
I know. This is what I wanted.
Oh my god, that's awesome. No, but
so what was your reaction? What'd you do?
I said, you know what? I think we're gonna need a little more making out.
Okay.
And yeah.
I have to know, did y'all ever end up having sex?
We did. It was painful.
I bet.
Yeah, it was extremely painful. And yeah, my reaction, I know how important the penis is to most men. And guys, it's not that important to most
in there.
Guys, it's girls don't care that much. Like, really, I don't think. I've talked to like 2 women in my entire life who are like, yeah, I need a big dick. Most of us are just like, no, I need a cool person. The dick is only as appealing as the man to whom it is attached.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's like maybe less about big dicks, more about big dick energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that does go to so many other asexual persons' experiences, or even inorgasmic people's experiences. I can give you what you need. I will be the one that changes you.
Yeah.
This is not conversion therapy, people. This is not.
Sure.
You are not going to be able to change anybody.
Can I get really dark?
How much time we
have?
got?
Like about a minute before we go, but
and then we'll get really dark.
Yeah.
No, we'll do it next segment.
Okay.
Hold that thought. You got this, Lanester.
I want
you got
to know this darkness so badly. We hope y'all are on the edge of your seats as much as we are about this. When we come back, Lainey's gonna show us some dark side.
Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad,
but good.
Yeah,
right.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh, it's really bad.
Prepare
yourself. Yeah.
All right.
But it'll be our last segment. So
yeah. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen.
Edge Radio TV is holding auditions for new show hosts. Are you a subject matter expert, professional, influencer, book author, thought leader, or business owner with an educational or motivational platform? Then we want to meet you. Send a link of some of your work to edgeradio20@gmail.com and be sure to put audition in the subject line. Join the Edge Radio TV family. Edge TV, because truth still matters.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Hey guys, this is Hendrix Scott with Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. Today we're here with Lainey. Yay! Our first guest. And we're talking about asexuality, the wonderful, beautiful spectrum of asexuality.
Yeah. It is a not well-known, obviously, as I said earlier, 3/4 of the population can't even define it. So
even asexuals sometimes have trouble explaining it.
I think that's because of this. I wonder if that's because of that spectrum aspect where you, like you said, where there's the gray ace, there's demis,
and people don't want to believe it. People do not want to believe it.
Yeah, and they
for your own good.
Right. They want to make it a diagnosis and take you to conversion therapy too, because they can change you. Guys, if you come see Hendrix and I, we can't change you from being asexual. We can't change you from being asexuality.
Yeah, I've had people come in where I'm like, I think what you want is conversion therapy, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, I'm not. That's never going to happen for me. By the way, conversion therapy, for those of you who don't know, right? I forget that. It's whenever generally was whenever you were like gay, and they try. It's like the pray the gay away thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and they would use like torture tactics on some conversion therapy.
Oh yeah, I was scared to death of conversion therapy in school for sure.
Both physical and mental.
Yeah.
Like I've known some people who have like tried to beat the gay out of people.
Yeah.
And it is highly denounced by all therapist groups, and yet I still believe there are some conversion therapists out there that do exist, and it's madness. But in terms of asexuality, you had some darkness.
I did, and actually this is a perfect segue. There is the notion of corrective rape.
Yes.
And it's not just guys that are perpetuating this notion. It's mostly guys. But to be fair, there are women who are like, I'll the ace out of you. And I know we were talking at lunch about a guy that woke up with a woman on top of him, and so it can happen. Men can be victims, women can be perps.
Yes.
And but it most commonly online, it is a male coming at an asexual female saying, I will the ace out of you.
You can go ahead and say fuck.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to be respectful. But saying I'll fuck the ace out of you. You know, my dick cures asexuality. And
it was when I said lesbian that triggered it for you, huh?
Oh,
Yeah, because it's big in the lesbian community of like, well, you just haven't had the right man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Corrective rape is like huge.
Yeah. I mean, but I feel like that's, I mean, horrific there as well. But like so many different things. Like I don't want to be TMI, but TMI, I don't really like being gone down on. It doesn't really do a whole lot. But I've had multiple partners that are like, well, you just haven't had my tongue.
Oh my gosh.
Bitch, your tongue is not thick enough or fast enough. Like, and I'm not a clitoral stimulation person. So no, like people stop trying to think that you can change your sexual partners. If you're not able to connect sexually, like that sucks. Find somebody else. But stop trying to like force something to happen. You're not going to change that person. Like that, it just doesn't work that way.
So how did you have a lot, like multiple experiences with this?
How common was that for you?
Oh, with people trying to convert me or to correctively bang me? Well, I not really, because I didn't label it as asexual until I was much older and much wiser in terms of the men that I was choosing to spend that kind of time with. But just in my 20s, you know, I was boy crazy when I was in my 20s. I loved dating. I loved flirting. I loved making out. I just, I'm going to quote David J. I think I'm quoting him correctly. He said, past a certain point, it stops making sense to my body.
I like that. That's what it is. To the point, descriptive.
Like past first base or second base, it just stops making sense to my body. It's not that it's bad. It doesn't feel terrible. It doesn't feel gross. I can go ahead and go hit a home run and be okay with it. It's not rape. I'm a willing participant, but it just doesn't quite make sense to my body.
Yeah, and that is a good point too. There are, like a lot of asexual persons will still have sex with their sexual partners. They can even orgasm.
It has nothing to do with orgasm. Nothing.
Oh, yes. A lot of people think it means no orgasm.
It means you've never had an orgasm. I'm giving you an orgasm. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with that. And I've had them. I've had little ones. I've had mind-blowing ones. I can provide them myself.
You want it way more often. Like it doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, it doesn't mean. And I think we talked briefly, like when we were at lunch as well, like the idea of it being a diagnosis, and it's not a diagnosis. And so when people say, well, so does that mean that like you're depressed and that's why you're asexual, or you have anxiety and that's why you're asexual? They try and like lump it in with all these other mental health disorders because they think it's a mental health disorder when it's not. And I think you had mentioned like. You were talking about one of them at lunch that people often think of.
Oh, self-harm?
No, well, the autism one.
Autism. Actually, that's a good one because there is a slight correlation between asexuality and people who are on the spectrum.
Makes so much sense.
But I think we need to dig a little bit deeper because are they asexual by orientation, or are they just not having sex because they find it difficult to navigate that social maze that you have to go through to get to the point where you're sexual with somebody? I mean, even people who are not on the spectrum, navigating that social space when you're trying to get with somebody.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's intimidating for everybody. And so imagine someone on the spectrum. And so since sex is inherently social, I think that may have more
like it
to
real
do
social.
with it. Yeah.
JK. Not.
She's not kidding. She's not kidding.
Sorry, not sorry. But okay, but it's a social component, except for when you're by yourself. So masturbation, huge question. I get asked all the time as a
Me
So
too.
do asexuals masturbate?
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an interesting answer.
Right.
They did a whole study on it. They found that male asexuals reported higher rates of masturbation than female asexuals, but men report higher rates of masturbation than women in general. And they found that asexuals report in general lower rates of masturbation than sexual people, and that makes sense because we don't tend to have those arbitrary urges. But feeling sexually aroused or just feeling kind of like you have to like clean out the pipes is not the same thing as being sexually attracted to someone. And
like
also
scratching the itch.
Yeah, scratching the itch. Yeah. And also, guys, that's super personal. It's not cool to come up to somebody that you've just met, if they mention that they're asexual, and be like, do you wank?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's
wild.
that's a little bit weird. I mean, I don't mind talking about stuff like that because of what I do.
Right.
But it's, some do, some don't.
Yeah. I think that is a big, like, because it's not as if you don't have the occasional, like, urge to pleasure, for pleasure. But one of the big differences might be that some asexuals, again, not all, may be like, yeah, I want to get off, but not with somebody.
Right.
Like, I want that release, but I'm not sexually attracted or sexually desirous of having a partner be there.
I thought of something that I think if there are any other asexuals out there watching, I think maybe they'll relate to. When I was in college, I wrote fanfic like you would not believe, and it was
I believe
nasty.
Wholeheartedly.
It was
not surprising.
It was nasty. It was graphic fanfic, and I didn't actually want to do those things, but I found it so interesting. I read graphic fanfic. Did I masturbate to it? I tried once, and the masturbating got in the way of the fantasy. I preferred the fantasy.
Interesting.
And so I would just immerse myself in the fantasy.
Yeah.
And because it was this these two Vulcans, not me. I'm dating myself here too.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It didn't feel dissonant. It didn't feel, it was much easier to kind of think about two other people having sex and find that really interesting to think about than it was to picture myself doing it, because it didn't make sense to my body when I pictured myself.
We could suggest this to asexual clients who's accepted that they're asexual, and just be like, hey, you might like this fantasy world. Like, I would have never thought to tell them that.
It is still all over the internet, way more so than it was when I was in college.
Like you said, you're still erotic.
Yeah. It can be extremely erotic. Some of it's just downright nasty, but some of it is
downright nasty.
I mean, some of it's actually really impressive.
Yeah. So when you are dating, you talked a minute ago about, like, if you're first meeting somebody, like, it's kind of rude to be like, so do you masturbate?
Yeah.
But at what point when you are dating somebody do you feel like it is, I don't know, an appropriate time to
like come out, basically?
To disclose. Yeah.
I haven't ever had to do that because I was so old when I realized that was an appropriate label for me. And I really haven't dated that many people since. There are people with whom I am sexual, with whom I have had ongoing sexual relationships. And I've had that conversation, I realize that I'm gray ace. And usually it's like, I'm like, but it doesn't happen that often. Yeah. And then the reaction is either, oh, that's cool, or I'm the man, which... very rarely, because I'm not attracted to that type of person.
You don't choose those fancy friends anymore.
I choose really cool fancy friends.
Yeah. I love the fancy. I have to just, because so fancy friends is Lainey's term for, like, a friend with benefits.
I've loved it for years. I've been like, this is fantastic.
My fancy friend.
Yeah, because it's a friendship, and it's a genuine friendship. It's a little bit fancier than just hanging out and having a beer.
Yeah.
You have a little more than that. So that's how I describe it. But I had one instance where, when I disclosed that I was asexual, and I disclosed this to a guy with whom I had been flirting for a long, long, long time, and I said, it's on here. I mean, it's working. And I think it freaked him out. He was like, oh God, I don't, it's too much pressure. Oh, you must be in love with me. And I'm like, no.
Wow.
That's
why would you jump to that?
Yeah, he got really freaked out and got really weird with me for a long time. And then we became, everything was okay. And I think he was probably gray ace as well. I think we were pretty much on the same page. But at first, when I was like, I'm not sexual that often, but whatever, this energy between us, I'm digging it, and it's working, and the sexual energy is naturally emerging. But then he was like, well, I don't want a relationship. I'm like, me neither. And it was, I really don't want a relationship. I'm like,
Why would you not? Like,
it got really weird.
Men do not tend to believe a woman when she says, "I don't want a relationship." Guess what?
Yeah, they don't. They really don't.
When they say they don't want a relationship, don't fall in love with me. Like they.
Yeah.
I really mean it.
10 times. Mean it.
Yeah. I like to be happy. If I wanted a relationship, I would make it clear.
Yeah.
Know what you're looking for and say what you're looking for. So. Thanks for being on our show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Such a delight having you. If somebody wants to reach out to you, if they're questioning if they're asexual and want to talk to you, or if they just want to follow you on Instagram and whatever, if you're open to that,
sure.
Where can people find you?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a professional page up. I'm working on a professional website. I'm a pre-licensed marriage and family therapist and a sex therapy intern, so I have the same training that these gals have, just not the letters. I don't have the letters behind my name, so I charge less. I'm cheap. But you can follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of cosplay and a lot of video game stuff.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, a lot. And my name is Napalm with Novocaine. It's a reference to an Artificial Joy Club song from the 1990s. I guess you can put it in the description.
Yeah,
sure. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Napalm with Novocaine on Instagram. Lots of cosplay.
Yeah. And in honor of today being about asexuality, our sex position of the week is cuddling.
Cuddling is the best. Oh my gosh, cuddling is awesome.
So if you don't know how to cuddle.
Asexuals also don't come after us. It is sort of a joke.
Yes.
We're not like, all y'all do is cuddle. It's just a joke. It's
and some asexuals don't even like cuddling.
I do.
Like, she does. But not all do. So that's something, don't automatically assume that. But,
don't assume anything, ever.
About anything.
About anybody. But thanks for staying with us. Thanks for coming on our show. You have been watching Sex on the Edge on Edge Radio TV with Jen and Hin. And happy humping.
Happy humping, y'all.
And cuddling.
And